Stargate, the seventh symbol, decoded. Welcome back, family. Today we are going to decode one of the most amazing Mazzaroth signs I have ever discovered. And this is, it's been really heavy duty. I have been getting some downloads that are I can't even explain them. This has been really difficult for me. For the last couple days, I have just been in awe of the things that I've been shown and the things that have been presented to me, and all the work of the other watchmen that are out there doing videos and the things that they've presented, and how that has connected with the things that I found. It's just unbelievable. And so today we're gonna start on another series, because this has way too much in it for me to do again in one video. So we're going to begin today on another series, Stargate, the seventh symbol, decoded. And this is connecting a lot of the dots associated with the other videos that we've been doing, and we want to try to keep them separate so that we can bring out the materials and that are associated with each thing that we're looking at, and not have so much in the wash, so to speak. This will be a way for me to focus all of my attention on very specific decodes. And so thanks again for coming. Let's get into this. The first thing that we're going to do is jump on Stellarium, and we're going to be looking at some very important signs in the Mazzaroth that are connected to this Stargate movie. And I'm going to show you how all these things are connected, and how we can use the Mazzaroth to decode the movie Stargate. And this is also going to be connected with the new Stargate AI project, and we're going to be breaking down how that movie was predictive programming for what is being released right now, and all of that shown in the movie was uh, a prophetic release of information about the exact time that we're in right now. And so let's go ahead and do this Mazzaroth breakdown, and then I'm going to point out some very important things about this alignment, and then we're going to be looking at some of the things that are associated with the movie. This is not a breakdown of the movie. This is not to point out really anything about the movie other than the symbols that were used for this seventh symbol, and all of the other six symbols, and how that's associated with the Mazzaroth. And then we are going to break down what the seventh symbol is, and we're going to discuss how those are all connected with the findings that I have discovered lately based on all of the tracking of the Mazzaroth out through the rest of spring. So in my hunt and looking at all the connections with all of the sun and the moon and the stars, and the comets and the asteroids. This story has developed to a point where I can make some determinations, and I can see the patterns of where all of these wandering stars, along with the sun and moon, are going, and how these comets and asteroids are they're placing more enlightenment on the entire story. And then when you incorporate the codes, it is like a icing on the cake. And if it all aligns, then it's like extra witness to what you found. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into the breakdown of this sign in Capricorn, and this is on 2/2 of 25 at 12:31 p.m. tomorrow. This is Pacific Standard Time. And here we see the sun aligning with what we would call the capstone of the temple. And we're going to go here really quick, and we're going to look at this picture here. This is from the movie. These are the chevrons, and it is showing you two chevrons that are stacked on top of each other. And we're going to go here really quick. And again, as this wheel turns, it connects to these different images, and each of these images are different symbols, and there are 7 symbols within these sequences. And what you're seeing here in the blue highlighted in the large symbol is the 6th symbol, and each of these on the right are the other 5 symbols. And then we know that the 7th symbol is here in the center, and they show it in I would have to go look it up, but it's just single. The 7th symbol is actually the single large chevron with a circle above it. And let's just go ahead and pull that up really quick. Hopefully my computer doesn't do the... I thought I already had this pulled up, but we can see right here in this image here of the 7th symbol, this here is the image of the 7th symbol, and you can see that they have multiple of these images, and this is the 7th symbol that opened the portal or the gate. And we can see here in this image, we can see all 7 of these images on the right that open the gates. And once you get to the 7th symbol, then you have the portal opening. And so we have these Stargate images that are showing us a very specific image. And as we see here, this is uh, the chevron on top of the other pyramid. And it's really important to see all these images. It's important to see this stuff so that once I do my breakdown, you'll be able to see how this is determined. And I believe that's all we need to move forward. I believe that was all that I needed. So now that we have this seventh symbol, we can see how this seventh symbol is connected with a double chevron. And now what we're going to look at is in the heavens, there is only one constellation in all of the Mazzaroth that has two pyramids that you could call a double chevron. And that is Capricorn. And you can see the double temple, and both of these can be considered chevrons. Pyramids are also chevrons. And the only other pyramid within the Mazzaroth is within the constellation of Sagittarius. Now, I have been working on this decode for years, family. I have never released it because I did not feel like I had enough evidence to release what I had found from before. And the reason it didn't get released is because I had believed before that this Sagittarius tabernacle, the pyramid here on the top of the tabernacle, I had believed that that was the seventh symbol. In my decodes, I ended up getting to this point where I had believed that this cause borealis was the top of the pyramid, and when the sun aligned here on December the 26th, that was the sign of the seventh symbol. And I had looked at, I believe it was 2020, when the I believe it was December the 26th, 2020. Let's pull that up really quick. Okay, so here we are, December the 26th, 2020, annular solar eclipse. And the location on December the 26th, family, is right here above Cause Borealis. And so I had been doing this work on Stargate back in 2019 and 2020, and I believed that I had broken it down. I just didn't have enough evidence, so I never brought a video fully out. But within my videos at that time on the Kadesh Culture channel, you can see how I was pointing to this part as the seventh chevron. I had brought that out in a couple of my videos back before December of 2020 on my Kadesh Culture channel. And it obviously didn't pan out the way that I had thought. I believed that that was one of the greatest high watch dates for the Escape of the Bride that I had ever come up to that point in my Mazzaroth research, and based on the findings of that Stargate uh, code, I believed I had nailed it. But I was missing a couple pieces of the puzzle, and one of the most important pieces of the puzzle was this double chevron. And I didn't have the understanding of the temples of Capricorn, and we can see how it's the only constellation with two temples or pyramids. Now, most pyramids can be looked at as a temple because of their dimensional shape. And in the heavens, there are multiple representation of triangles. There's the summer triangle and the winter triangle, and these are all part of the creation of the Father. And these pyramids have a very, very important aspect when it comes to these heavenly signs. And so what we're looking at here is on this day, at this time on meridian, the sun becomes the capstone on top of the temple of sacrifice. Now, this can be seen as the death and resurrection location of the sun, and we can also see that as the sun having the keys to death and Hades. And this is very important sign because we see inside of the temple we have Mercury, who is the messenger angel. And to me, this is Gabriel, the archangel Gabriel, and this is showing us that there is a message in this constellation. It's pointing attention as the messenger of the bridegroom, because remember, Mercury is the 88-day orbit. It has the closest orbit to the sun, and as a representation of a messenger throughout history, the messengers of the king were always kept very, very close to the king so that he could send out messages throughout his kingdom. And if you read the Bible and you connect the dots to the stories of Gabriel, him being the messaging angel, to me this has always made the most sense. And when I apply it that way to the Mazzaroth and my findings, it seems to always fit with Gabriel as the messenger angel. And we also, still in the house, we see Ceres, and we can see Ceres as the goddess of marriage, and we can also see Ceres as the marriage judge. And Ceres is still in the backside of Capricorn, which is a representation of resurrection. Just because they're not inside of the resurrection temple doesn't mean that they still don't have a place in representing. It's just not as strong of a aspect of looking at this sign. So when they're inside or they make an alignment between the stars, then those are times to really pay attention to what we're looking at. And so on this date, we see that the sun is a capstone on this pyramid. And this is happening at 12/31/31 on the 2nd of February, which is tomorrow, just after noon Pacific Standard Time. We have this alignment, and this is the 7th symbol. And now what we're going to do is we're going to break that down. First, what we're going to do is we're going to show you who else is involved in this sign. And first, we have asteroid Apophis. And I want you to notice the location of each of these things that we pull up, because we're going to show you something very powerful. Now what we're going to do is we're going to be taking a close look at the next one, which is 24P linear. Now remember, Apophis was just above the sun to the right. And if we pull this back and we look at all of these, let's go back to Apophis and let's just look at Apophis again really quick. And then now let's scroll in, let's get linear. And we can see how the sun, and then slightly to the right, there's Apophis. And then we see linear, and if we back out, this pattern of the sun, Apophis, linear, Mercury, and Ceres form what we call the Fibonacci spiral. So let's pull that up really quick so you can see this Fibonacci spiral. And this is the pattern of all of creation. And we can see this in shells, we can see this in pineapples, in flowers, you name it, family, your ear, many, many things are the spiral of universes, the waves, you can see here with the sunflowers, all of creation is a Fibonacci spiral. And if we go back and we look again at this, again, look at the location of 249P. It won't let me keep this up because I'm on the general, but you can see if it started at the sun and then it went to Apophis and then it went to linear, and I want you to just keep going with this spiral, and you can see how if you start at the sun, you go to Apophis, you go to linear, and you keep going with the spiral, then it crosses over Mercury, and then it ends at Ceres, and we have ourselves a Fibonacci spiral. And this is directly tied with pi 314, and we have a sign in the Mazzaroth of the Fibonacci spiral, and this is connected with pi because it's 40 days exactly from 2-2 on this alignment to 314 Pi Day, and that happens to be Purim 2025, family. You can't make these things up. This is very, very important signs. Now what we're going to do is get into the determination of the sign. So the large temple of the goat is the temple of sacrifice, of death, and when the sun, again, is the capstone, I believe there can be an opening of the gates. This is possibly the portal to the underworld, the gates of Hades. This is possibly the release of the Anunnaki. And this is why this video was presented the way it is. And this movie is pointing out something to us that we can decode using the Mazzaroth. Now, the first temple could be the keys to the abyss, and the second temple could be the keys to resurrection. And so let's go look at that really quick. This here we see on the 6th. Let me pull up my information here. This is at the same time we see the sun. We can see the sun on meridian is lined up with the top of the resurrection pyramid. Now, if we go to the next meridian, which will be on the 7th, sorry, fam, it. So here we are on the 7th, and we can see how the sun has passed. And if we go back to the 6th at the same time, it has not made its alignment, but if we go 12 hours forward, then we can see how the sun is almost directly lined up on meridian with the top of the temple. And so this is our time for the sun to be the capstone of the resurrection temple. And this could be the day of the rising. Now, it could happen at the same time that the fallen ones lose access to the gates, because that's how I'm seeing this right now. I believe that the fallen ones that are not bound are still they still have access to the gates and the portals, and they still have access to certain realms of heaven. They were only cast out of what I call the first house. That means they're not allowed in the high court, essentially. They're not allowed at the first heaven. But they have access to the other gates, and I believe when when Michael finished his battle with the enemy, that they lose all access to the gates, and then they are stuck here on the planet, and I believe that is what we call the Great Tribulation. That they will go to make war with the remnant, and they will essentially devour the earth because of their anger for being stuck here on planet Earth in the physical dimension. So we have two different temples. We have the temple of death and sacrifice, which is the underworld, associated with the keys to the abyss. And then we have the upper chevron. It is the gate or portal of the fish. And we can see here that Capricorn is a double image, one of a goat, which we know that Christ was a representation of our sacrifice. And then the backside is the resurrection. And we can see how his death did not finish with the ultimate death, that he was raised to new life, and that is shown to us in the constellation of Capricorn. And so we have a couple of different very, very important signs. The day before we see this alignment, we have Mercury, who enters into the house of resurrection, or what you could call the resurrection temple, and we're going to look at that alignment. So we have Mercury here entering into the temple of resurrection, and let's go ahead and get that up right on the minute, or as close as we can. So we have, this is 4:42 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the 5th of February. We have the messenger entering into the resurrection temple. Now this is also a very, very important alignment. It's essentially 440, and we know that 44 has some amazing encoded messages. I'll just put that out there. There's so many, we can go on forever. But I believe that this is all associated with the gates of heaven being locked, and that could possibly end up happening 40 days later on Pi Day, because the Fibonacci is associated with Pi, and we can see the Fibonacci sequence within this constellation, and we can see how these times are showing us a pattern. 2:2 to 3:14 is 40 days. It's also associated with the marriage, because we're looking at the bridegroom and Ceres, the goddess of marriage. And we also are looking at the serpent attacking. Let's go ahead and pull up Apophis again. We're going to be doing Apophis Strikes Part 3 in a couple days. So I'm not going to go into Apophis very much, other than just showing these signs. We're going to be bringing them up again in that Part 3. And those signs are very, very important. So I'm going to leave those individually for themselves in that series. But we can see here how Apophis has transitioned along with the sun. If you've been following me for a while and you've seen that Apophis Strikes video series 1 and 2, then you'll understand what I mean. If you haven't seen those videos, please go back and watch Apophis Strikes 1 and 2. This is all very, very important information to understand in the heavens and what this is showing us. This is the serpent attacking the bridegroom, and this is also the serpent attacking the resurrection. And Apophis, the serpent, is right there at the resurrection. And I believe we're getting a sign here with Mercury entering into the resurrection temple and the sun being at the capstone between the 5th and the 6th of the resurrection temple, and Apophis being right there to strike the resurrection of the dead. And remember, Apophis is the primordial dark, the primordial underworld. And this can all be associated together. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this other sign here, and we're going to be looking at these 7 symbols. And if you look at each of these symbols on the right, you're going to notice something, and it stood out to me right away, but they sort of have these symbols slightly different just to cause some confusion. You have to dig a little in order for this to make sense. So first, we're going to talk about these chevrons aligning. These are the locked positions of the Stargate. And you can see how there are these certain chevrons that align with these symbols. So we're going to look at symbol 1, Taurus, the bull. The first 4 symbols are the guardians of the gates. They're 4 creatures that stand guard: the bull, the man, the lion, and the eagle. The 4 pillars of the Mazzaroth. The 4 corners of creation. The 4 divisions of heaven: Taurus, Aquarius, Leo, and Scorpio. The first 4 symbols of the Stargate. Now we're going to go into symbol number 5, Sagittarius, the white horse rider. Now, family, look at the image of number 5. We're going to quickly go here into the Mazzaroth. We're going to look up Sagittarius. And I want you to just take a quick look at this constellation and the way that they have these star images. Now we're going to go back over here, and you're going to see how number 5 is Sagittarius. Again, let's go ahead and go back. Look at image number 5. Look at the constellation of Sagittarius. Look at image number 5. Sagittarius, the white horse rider. Now, we're going to look at number 6, which is on the large blown up picture. It's also on the left here with the chevron pointed over it, but you can only see half of it. we see two pyramids. Now this is it's encoded as a uh, it's encoded as a pyramids facing each other, but we can see how this being two pyramids, and there aren't any other constellations that have two pyramids. Capricorn is the only constellation that has two pyramids. And we can see here they have this double chevron. And it's important to be able to see that they are showing us pyramids on the corner, and they're showing us two pyramids. And a division in between them, a line, which is a dividing line like a gate or a portal. And we can see in the Mazzaroth that there is a point on the second each year now where the sun is the capstone of this large pyramid. You can see it. The sun is the capstone. Every year, February 2nd, until we start to see the precession of the equinox take over. And my next observation won't be for approximately 15 years, because I just made my latest observation in 2023. And that's where all these dates are determined for the Mazzaroth calendar. And for all of these dates, we can see that the precession of the equinox has the sun here on the 2nd of February. And it's important to be able to break these signs down, because the 7th symbol, as we've seen in what happened to him? Oh, I think I shut it down. So we've already seen how that 7th symbol is the circle above the pyramid, or above the chevron. And again, chevrons are a representation of a pyramid. And so we have here the sun, the bridegroom, at the capstone location. And this is the 7th sign, and it is associated with the completion of death and the beginning of resurrection. And we're going to finish here. This is going to be part 1. We're going to be coming back, and we're going to be doing part 2, and that is going to be an entire decode on Stargate AI and the new program that is being put in place that will have complete control over the entire world. And we're going to be bringing that out in the next video. Thanks for coming, family. Much love.